Can Melbourne survive the treacherous trip to Windy Hill? On AFL Live, Essendon versus Melbourne.
Good afternoon and welcome to Windy Hill. Round 11, the match of the day. The Bombers up against the Demons. It should be a tremendous game. Essendon, what a performance last week against St Kilda. Written off because of their injuries. They bounced back. They're out on the field at the moment. They played superbly well, but that injury list continues. Both Bradley Plain and Gary O'Donnell missing from the state game on Tuesday night. But Michael Long is back in the team with Paul Salmon, and the Bombers are a formidable force. For Melbourne, a disappointing loss to the Crows on Friday night. They'd won 5 in a row. They can't afford to drop today's match. The Demons have lost Gary Lyon, and he will be a blow, and also Rod Owen from that match against the Crows. Good crowd here, almost full. Close to 23,000. The capacity at Windy Hill, only 23,000 now, but a terrific crowd and always an atmosphere at Windy Hill. You're so close you can almost touch the players. The record, the Bombers have the edge over the Demons over the years. They've played 177. Essendon's won 107 of those matches. Melbourne 68 and 2 drawn matches. So it really should be a terrific contest, very even. Peter McKenna's going to join me today, and it's a special welcome to Ross Glendinning, who we haven't seen all that often in Melbourne this year. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Bruce, how are you?
Yeah, should be a great game. Let's have a look at the team.
Well, it will be a great game, and we saw this memorable game here a couple of weeks ago, of course, against the West Coast Eagles. We see the Melbourne side out on the ground, and they beat Essendon here last year, Ross, so it won't be an easy game for the Bombers.
It was a good comeback last year. I saw that game, a terrific effort by the Demons, with Bennett and Jackson being the two mainstays. Line, if you look at the sides here, Bennett and O'Dwyer in that full forward line. I don't particularly like that combination there, but Anthony Danaher, what a fine fullback he is.
Well, that'll be an interesting clash. So Brad Fox only played a couple of games this year against Paul Bryce, former North Melbourne player, playing at centre half forward, and Darren Cuthbertson. They want a big game from him today,
yes,
Melbourne.
And some more upcoming youngsters there. Burns, Hills for Essendon, and Dyson, of course, for Melbourne. Very good player, and Obbs back for his first game for the season.
Well, a big task for David Schwartz coming back into that Melbourne side. Number 44 are playing on Peter Sumble. Had a pretty good year. McMahon and Wanganeen, two very clever half forwards for Essendon there.
Yes, and that Melbourne full back line with Howard coming back into the side. He's played forward and back. Werner, of course, is a player who shows a lot, and of course Salmon, what a fine player he is.
Well, I'm looking forward to the ruck clashes. Simon Madden, the great Simon Madden, in sensational form against Jimmy Styles. And of course, Steve O'Dwyer and Simon Madden have had a couple of memorable blues in the past, so that could be on when O'Dwyer goes into the ruck.
Yes, and Stephen Clark, former Essendon player, back on his old home territory with Sean White, and Spawn and Flood for Essendon.
So they're the lineups, the Demons and the Bombers here at Windy Hill. And I've got a feeling the first 5 minutes will be ferocious here. No love lost between these two teams. They're playing for a top 4 spot, maybe a top 2. We take a break. Back from Windy Hill after this.
Hi, this is Simon Madden from Essendon. Here on Channel 7, get all your football on this station.
4 other matches being played today in round 11 of the AFL season. Geelong and Adelaide, Richmond and West Coast, North Melbourne, Collingwood, Hawthorn, St Kilda. Highlights of Geelong and Adelaide and Richmond and West Coast at half-time and at the conclusion of the match, and we'll keep you right up to date with scores of those 4 matches throughout this game. Well, Gerard Healy joins us again on the boundary line. Gerard's got the Mitsubishi Motors ground report. A warm welcome to you, Gerard.
Thanks very much, Bruce. Well, it's an overcast day here in Melbourne, but the big news for all supporters is that Kevin Sheedy has finally relented and the wind socks are blowing freely in the wind. Having a look at the Mitsubishi Motors weatherrometer, we have a current temperature of just over 16 degrees with an expected top temperature of 18 degrees. Humidity is presently 51%, and there's a 10-kilometre wind blowing straight across the ground, so no goal advantage. But a bonus to Essendon, who will be more familiar with these conditions. The ground's in great condition, and the forecast is for a mild, cloudy day with fresh, gusty northwest winds and the chance of a shower. In fact, Bruce, there's a couple of drops just starting to tumble down now.
Well, get the umbrella up, Gerard. Thanks very much for that. All in all, good conditions for football today. Peter McKenna and Ross Glendinning. Hard game to take a pick, but who are you going for, Ross?
Actually, I think Essendon will be too strong. It should be a good game, though, Bruce. Melbourne have lined up, even those players they've lost, the replacement have come in as very handy players, but Essendon too strong, particularly with Salmon back. He's a focal point up forward.
Peter?
Yes, I echo those thoughts, and as we have a look, there's Kevin Walsh. So look at some of those names up there. Kevin Walsh, Dean Bailey on the right, Mark Harvey on the left, and Bomber Thompson up the back on the far left. So pretty good names, Ross, to be out of that Essendon side, but I'm selecting them anyway because they're hard to beat out here.
You're a good judge, Peter.
Is a feeling in Perth, Ross, that Essendon is the danger to West Coast this year, considering all their injuries?
Well, they have been a very good performer against the Eagles, Bruce. There's no doubt about that. But I think the other side, which still holds a key, I think, is Hawthorn. They're still a side, if they get Burton and Dunstall back firing, there's certainly no doubt they'll be a very, very good side.
Now, Burns looks like he's going on to the interchange, came back into the team today.
And Somerville,
who played in Tasmania. Peter, do you think the interstate matches, the 2 games we had on Tuesday, will have any effect here? I'm thinking about the Maddens and the Watsons, maybe the older players.
Well, more so, I don't think it'll affect the younger players, as you say, but certainly Simon Madden and Timmy Watson. But they are great players, very experienced players, and I'm sure Kevin Sheedy would have gone a little bit easy on them for the rest of the week.
Clark and White, the interchange for Melbourne. Now, there's O'Dwyer. Remember the last time they played here, he and Madden had their own private war. It was a focal point of the match.
and Bruce, far better to see him at centre-half forward rather than that full forward line. He's just too awkward right up in the last line there, and he just clogs Bennett's run.
Peter Carey and John Russo, the umpires. There's O'Dwyer. So we're all set. Essendon to the right, Melbourne to the left, and it's on already before the start. Ricky Jackson and Michael Long. So we're away. Well, a sensation here at Windy Hill before the ball was bounced. Steins gets his hand on it. A little kick away by Grinter. High one for Melbourne, but it's a free kick and Steins in trouble, Glenn Ross.
Yes, it's in fact the kick's going back to Grinter, or is it Steins?
Steins.
Steins is the player who gets the free kick.
Got poked in the eye in Tasmania on late in the game on Tuesday. Now here's Viney, who was also very much injured against South Australia, against Victoria on Tuesday. A tap away from Madden. Kick across the ground by Spawn to Anderson.